The developers over at New World Aeternum had a ton of things planned, and a lot of it just never made it into the actual game. And in today's video, I wanted to highlight what those really cool features that never made it into the game actually were. There were a few last minute additions that they made to the game, like a complete revamp of Reekwater with this brand new currency where you can essentially buy different gear sets and dagger perks and even like dagger caches, which is pretty cool. And even like really cool sought after mounts like the turkey mount and this really cool skeletal horse mount as well. And that was the other thing. I mean, like they actually launched daggers after they announced that the game was basically closing its doors next year, which is honestly insane. But let's not talk about all these random updates we recently got. Let's talk about all of the juicy stuff that never actually made it into the game, but were planned. So, for example, yes, we've got the daggers. Yes, we've got a whole dagger skill tree. And let's go ahead and just open that actual weapon menu. So, as you can see, we have daggers right here, but we actually were going to get a different weapon that was supposed to be right over here. And this was confirmed by Katie herself within the New World Discord. To be more specific, she called out that I can tell you that one of the weapons we were considering and did some prototyping on was the Thunder Gauntlet. This would have been super, super cool. I mean, even just having the lightning element kind of implemented in one of the base weapons rather than just like the bolt caster or like the hammer artifact or anything like that would really kind of mix up the battlefield. I'm really upset, honestly, that we never got this weapon and that the actual implementation of daggers themselves was just kind of rushed and thrown in there. I understand the circumstances, but again, it's just sad to see that there is so much potential when it comes to future weapons. And I mean, the Thunder Gauntlet, for example, wasn't even the next weapon, I guess, that they had on their radar, which is even more interesting altogether. Next up, let's talk about a brand new PvP game mode that was coming, and honestly, the signs of this one was already right in front of us. If you went ahead and opened up your quest menu and went over to tutorials, on the left side, you can actually see the name of the new game mode, Battle Royale. And this is really, really cool. You can read this yourself in game today if you wanted to, but essentially every player kind of spawned onto the map with just a sword, shield, bow, and some basic armor pieces. And it was basically fight to the death for 32 players. As you played, the ring of death got smaller and smaller until there was essentially one man standing, which honestly seemed like a lot of fun. I just really wish this got implemented because I can see this kind of being like a version of Fortnite that people honestly just rinsed and repeat, kind of like OPR. There was some additional data mine information too that was flying around on Reddit. Here's just a sneak peek of it, but there's some more specifics about like overall timing, talking about how like you can loot chests on the map to kind of upgrade your gear and pack a bigger punch. Talks about like how there's 5 phases for the rings, each lasting for like a few minutes, and just tons and tons of more specifics. Again, really upset that this didn't make it to the actual game. For some crazy reason, if it does get picked up, I would love to play Battle Royale in the future. Friendly reminder, if you enjoyed this video or have watched any of my other videos, consider hitting that subscribe button. It really helps me out, especially with all the recent New World news. Okay, enough of that. Let's jump into the next thing. We also have some more information about some of the specifics that were kind of showcased in this older living roadmap. For example, we knew that pickup wars, essentially practice wars, were coming to the game. This would have been great because honestly, wars are probably one of the best pieces of content in the game. However, I think it's like 2% of the actual player base was actually able to experience wars just because of how competitive they were. And it was 50 versus 50, and most of the time, the same 50 roster is kind of consistent each day. But again, that was kind of like one of the many things that were coming to the game. The other things include like a whole company hall with its own unique storage, a whole revamp of Invasion with new difficulties, and also it calls out new travel mechanics. It sounds like a few streamers out there actually kind of had some side conversations with some members of the team, and it sounded like sailing was essentially coming to the game at some point in the future. Unfortunately, of course, it's not in the game today, but imagine actually like crafting your own boat, throwing furniture on the boat, and sailing to new locations and potentially even new zones or islands with new mobs and new content. That would have been a huge expansion. I totally could have seen that happening next year, and definitely kind of building up some hype around that. But again, unfortunately, it never came. There's a few other things on there, and again, this was from season 9, so some of these actually already got implemented, like the crafting global storage. That again, with daggers, actually just randomly got implemented just a few days ago. This one might be a little bit of a stretch, but one of the artists actually shared a link to their portfolio, and if you scroll through it, you find this image. So again, this is kind of like in the middle of other New World Aeternum weapon designs. So maybe it was a sneak peek and preview that pistols were potentially coming to the game. I mean, a lot of just NPC mobs actually had pistols in the game already, so I wouldn't be surprised if dual pistols or something like that were actually going to be the next weapon lined up, which definitely would have mixed some things up on the battlefield even more. But again, we don't know for sure. It's just kind of like a guess based off of the portfolio that we were kind of snooping around in. And the last sneak peek I wanted to showcase were two new trade skills that Katie mentioned as well in Discord. She mentioned that she can't share all the information right now. Maybe down the road she can kind of push some buttons and make things go live. But she did mention that both gardening and homesteading was something that they were interested in implementing within New World. So that would have been definitely pretty interesting, especially with gardening. I think that would have been pretty cool to see kind of how it impacted like the food market and things like that. But that really covers it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Again, I thought it was just pretty cool to kind of highlight a few of the future updates or plans that the team had in mind but didn't actually implement. But that really covers it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider hitting that like button and also subscribing for some more content down the road. Thanks again, and I'll catch you guys later.